Report, brought to you by BetDSI. And if you like me, you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at MitchellRenz365. I went over some rumors and news. Now I got a special little segment that people only down here, if you're only subscribing to youtube.com/Raiders Report, can watch, and also only the way that, heck, you can actually be on the show. So you're going to need to understand my Raider rumor scale. 0 Chucky heads, tuck rule, tuck that, not going to happen. 1 Chucky head is a small shred of truth, 25% chance of happening. 2 Chucky heads, people are talking 50-50. 3 Chucky heads, pretty likely 75% chance of happening. And then we got 4 Chucky heads, believe it, baby, 100% that this rumor is going to happen. So let's hop into Raider Nation rumors. The first one is from Corey Williams, and is Jameis Winston going to be the Raiders quarterback in 2019? Corey, I respect the question, and I like it. I'm going to give it only 1 Chucky head, though, because I think there's a small shred of truth here. Jameis has been struggling. The fact that Jameis and Fitz have been kind of bouncing back and forth, it's been a roller coaster for the Buccaneers. And there are rumors that the Bucs could cut Winston, but it would be a $20 million cap hit if the Bucs cut him. So I just ultimately don't think they're going to cut ties with their first overall pick. Here are his 2018 season stats. Almost 66% completion percentage, 8 touchdowns, 11 interceptions. You guys get mad for Derek Carr turning the ball over? Jameis Winston is twice as bad. 70 interceptions his entire career. He's got over 20 fumbles. He has more turnovers than he does touchdowns. Think about that. And he really just hasn't been all that productive. What if the Bucs won? Nothing. So why would anybody want Jameis to come over? And I want to know from you, what's the better quarterback for the Oakland Raiders? Give me a heart for Derek, or give me a laughing face. It should be a laughing face for Jameis Winston. So, better quarterback for the Raiders. I want to know from you. Next one coming up here on the board is from Raiders for Life. And if the Raiders have the #1 overall pick, are they going to end up trading it? Raiders for Life, it's a good question, and I talked a little bit about it on my show last week. But in terms of would they trade the #1 pick to get more picks early, I'm only going to give this one 2 Chucky heads, or I'm going to give this one 1 Chucky head, because I don't really know if it's ultimately going to happen. So, I think if Nick Bosa's not on the board, sure, you're going to see them personally. I think they could trade it. But the question is, would they trade the #1 overall pick? I don't think so, because I just don't think they're going to pass on Nick Bosa. He is a perfect fit for that defense. They need an edge rusher. They need a defensive end who can get after the quarterback. There's a reason why the Raiders are ranked dead last. So, would they trade the #1 overall pick? I don't think so. But maybe if they had a different pick, like what they have now, hey, maybe you could convince me otherwise. And also, sure, they might trade it, I guess, if Justin Herbert comes out. But I don't think Herbert's going to ultimately come out. Next Raider Nation rumor is also from Corey Williams. So, Corey, shout out to you. You came up with such good Raiders rumors that I gave you 2. And are the Raiders going to trade or ultimately have Teddy Bridgewater as their quarterback in 2019? Corey, another good question, but I'm only going to give this one 1 Chucky head. And I think that there's a small shred of truth here because, again, I just don't think Bridgewater is better than Derek Carr. And even though Breeze is playing at an MVP level, I think, Teddy's going to be looking for somewhere to go because he's going to be a free agent in 2019. But in terms of, is he better than Derek Carr? I'm not quite sure. Here are his career stats: 64.7% completion percentage, 28 touchdowns, 22 interceptions. Now, I don't really think that those stats really talk about how good of a player Teddy is, because I actually think Teddy's a pretty talented quarterback. He's just dealing with a really bad injury. So, ultimately, when I think about that, I'm not quite sure, maybe if the Raiders should ultimately go out and get Teddy Bridgewater. But the show isn't just about me, and I want to know from you, who's a better quarterback for the Raiders? And we got it right this time. Nice. What's going on? Is it a heart for Derek or a laughing face for Teddy? I'm throwing up my heart. I think it's Derek Carr, and I actually don't even think it's all that close. Maybe when Teddy first came out, you can make the argument. But with a banged-up Teddy Bridgewater right now, I want Derek Carr. I'm throwing up my heart. But I want to know from you, better quarterback for the Raiders for the rest of the season. Raider Nation, what's going on? You're watching the Raiders Report, brought to you by BetDSI, and I'm your host, Mitchell Renz. Please follow me on Twitter at MitchellRenz365, and heck, hit me up on Venmo at MitchellRenz365.